It's Mental Health Awareness Month. I believe this is a month that should be probably a couple months because mental health affects us in many ways, especially men. And I have someone today who I love, admire, respect. I've known him for a good amount of time, and he's going to share his ideas, how he's overcome mental health, and what is he doing now to make sure that he's not spiraling or uh, things like that. So, welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I have a special guest, Mr. Sean Johnson himself. Welcome, Sean.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks for having me.
So, Sean, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Sean Johnson. I'm 34 years old. I was in the Army for 6 years. I currently work for the state in corrections. And yeah, I also battled alcoholism for quite a while, but um, I've overcome that. It's been 7.5 years since the last time I drank. So I'm pretty proud about that. But yeah, now I am a fitness and addiction recovery coach.
Now, what is that like going from the Army to now being in corrections and a fitness and recovery coach? What is that like?
A lot of different worlds, but they do kind of intertwine too. Obviously, because there's a lot of fitness and stuff that's involved in the Army. You got to stay fit, got to stay ready. But a lot of it's a different mindset. I realized when I was in the military, a lot of the thinking is done for you.
Hmm.
A lot of it is, you just do what you're told. You usually have superiors that constantly tell you what to do, where to go, what time to be there. And once you get out of that kind of completely stops, and now you're on your own accord.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a little different, but again, the worlds do intertwine a little bit. Like with my job now, we do have a rank structure and stuff like that. We have superiors, but it's a totally different atmosphere. Um, and that's why I love, the fitness coaching and stuff, is because um, it's been a part of my journey in life for so long. And it's helped me out so much. So, and I know it can help a lot of other people too.
Hmm. So did you feel you battled? Did you feel you have had mental health spurts or battles while being in the Army?
Um, I would say more so when I came home from deployment and stuff.
Hmm.
Being overseas and being in a combat zone and stuff, you have to have a certain type of mentality. And as weird as it sounds, it was a very simple life when you're over there,
Hmm.
because all you have to worry about, as crazy as it sounds, is staying alive. Like you and help your brothers and sisters, just staying alive. You don't have the hustle and bustle of everyday life. You don't have a lot of worry about bills. All that's kind of taken care of. But so you kind of would wake up and there would just be one mission. You know what I mean? And so it
Wait,
was
what is that?
simple.
What is that? What does that mean?
You would you literally would just have to try to make sure you stayed alive that day. You know what I mean?
Oh,
With the missions and stuff that you would go on. So it was it was simple, but um I mean, it was difficult too. There was definitely difficult times, but I would say more of the battle was when we come back home, and just readjusting to everything.
how I never thought of it like that, because if you'd have told me, I'd have been like, the Army is 80 times harder.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's different aspects, certain aspects that are harder, but
but you're saying mentally, because you had one task versus 80,000 tasks to think
yeah,
about or to do.
yeah,
It seems simpler in that
yeah,
way. That shows you how the mind works, where that simple is staying alive.
yeah.
And the other simplest is paying bills, kids,
hmm
all that stuff. So what did you do when you finished the army, like how did the mental health battle start?
It really started, like I said, just when I came home, and you have to focus on regular life things. Like I said, you come home, you gotta get a job, or you go back to the job you had before you left, and it's usually a way different environment than the one we were just in. Um, but I noticed even a lot of the things that I dealt with as far as like my alcoholism, like and why I drank, like the mental part of it. A lot of it was like self esteem stuff that I was dealing with since childhood. Just
Mm.
being a redhead, getting made fun of all the time. In elementary school for having red hair and stuff like that.
That's one of the coolest things now.
Oh, I love it. As
Like,
an adult, I love it. Yeah, yeah. Because and everybody tells me too, like I love the color of your hair, and it's just so funny because I used to hate it as a kid. So,
mm.
um, but yeah, like I think a lot of the self-esteem stuff was actually from like my childhood. And just like I never felt a part of, I never felt cool enough. Um, and in feeling like that, like I became like a chameleon, kind of like
Mm.
whoever I was around, that's what my interests were. I never really thought for myself. It was just like I wanted to be accepted by everybody, and
Mm.
that's obviously an impossible task.
Yeah. So how did you make this? How did you start getting help? Where you were like, I left the army. This feeling has been going on since I've been a kid. I've gotten into, you said, alcohol.
Hmm.
How did you get through that?
So I had gone to rehab, like I said, like 7.5 years ago or so. I've kind of lost count, which is a bad thing and a good thing, depending on. I think it's a good thing because I don't sit here and like count the days of that I've been sober. I just try to live life now.
Respect.
Um, but going to rehab it definitely helped because um, kind of similar to the military, you have one mission for that 30 days, and that's just to like learn about yourself, focus on you, deal with your problems. Um, and talking to like a counselor there, that's what really, because I had no idea why I drank. Like, I literally, while I was in my alcoholism, I had no clue. Like, I didn't wake up like, and have, you know, like bad nightmares from war or anything like that. And like,
Mm.
that's why I drank. It was just like, I just wasn't comfortable with myself, and I would just find myself drinking all day. And so that was like kind of when I chose to go to rehab, that was like kind of my goal was to figure out why. Like
Mm.
because I felt like all these other people like would have these stories of bad things that happened to them when they were kids or whatever the case may be, and I never had that. Like I grew up in a great home. I had both my parents. I never went without, so um, part of me was like, I don't even have a reason like to be drinking like this. So rehab really kind of helped me figure that out. And um, just talking to the counselor, I was like, it was kind of like an aha moment, like, oh, like all those times of just wanting to be cool and stuff when you're in school. And it just made me think back to all these things in high school, like parties and stuff and how I would act. And I just realized that I wasn't comfortable with me, but I also never knew. I never even tried to be my own person. I was always trying to be somebody else.
Mm.
And so that once I kind of came to that realization, um, and the good thing too was like I wasn't as afraid of the work. Like I knew I had a problem at the time. Um, that's where a lot of people get caught up is the denial and stuff like that they have a problem.
Hmm.
And but I was lucky enough to or I was just fed up enough with where I was at where, um, I didn't have to wonder whether I had a problem. I knew, and I was determined to try to figure it out and just change because the way I was going, I knew it wasn't sustainable at all.
Mm. You said something that hits hard, and I think most people can identify with it. You know, like you said, I didn't have a reason to be drinking. Like I had everything, like, or I didn't go without. I had both parents, I had a great home. I think that personally, even from a life coach perspective, is we normalize certain things that are like tangible stuff, like having the parents, having a home to live in, not going without food and stuff like that. And then we like kind of minimize it, but it shows up in different ways. Not having like the ability to fit in, or not feeling emotionally maybe supported, and things like that. Do you feel as a man that it's harder expressing that stuff or battling with mental health stuff still?
Oh yeah, because I feel like there's like this stigma around, asking for help, and that it's a sign of weakness. And like there was a few times prior to me going to rehab where, I was like, oh, I can do this myself. The ego kicks in, you think you can will yourself through it. And, but it was weird. Like once I reached out and actually asked for help, because I had asked, a coworker, he was, part of the union at work. And, I had asked him about, a treatment program. And it was kind of like once I asked for that help and actually like went away, it was like this weight just came off of me. Like I didn't have to, I kind of surrendered to, per se. And, but I noticed like like not asking for help is actually the weak thing to do. Cause it took a lot to really like muster up the strength to like ask, and especially ask another man for help. But it was just weird. Once I did, I felt like this kind of peace. And it wasn't like, I was cured. I still had to put the work and stuff. I still had to go and do the thing. But yeah, there was a lot of I realized there was a lot of strength in that. And I think that's the hardest part. It's just the ego and the male, like, bravado, thinking that, you can do everything yourself. That it holds people back.
I agree. And I think, especially with like a mental health awareness month, having another male talk about it, I think does more good than we even imagine, because we usually don't hear men talking about, hey, I battled with this. Similar to you, I got picked on in school. Like I was either called church boy or this, and it affected me way more than I thought it did. Where I just always thought like I was odd. I wasn't as manly, or just a ton of stuff. But having a male like talk about it is very, very good. And then realizing too that asking for help shouldn't be hard, but it is.
Yeah.
Do you think it's hard for women?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's hard for anybody. Just because you're worried about facing scrutiny from outside or from your family. Usually facing scrutiny from your family is probably one of the bigger things, because the people closest to you are the opinions that you care about most, and everybody's family has, drama that you hear at the cookout and all that stuff. So nobody wants to be the butt of the drama, but
yeah. What's advice you give now to say someone came and they were like, hey Sean, let's say it's alcohol, but they won't tell you at that moment, and they're like, I'm struggling, you got any advice? What's advice that you would give them?
Well, I would ask some questions to figure out what it is, because like a lot of times when it comes to substances, like there's usually a group of people that you hang out with, or situations that you put yourself in that cause you to engage in that behavior. and one of the biggest things is like you have to remove yourself from like the people, places, and things. It's like
Mm,
like a saying in AA or NA, and because if you constantly like I could not drink, but if I go and sit at a bar and drink water, like eventually I'm gonna drink. You know what I mean? Like so, I just have no business being in a bar.
smart.
Um, but so I would definitely tell them, to try to remove themselves from people, places, and things, but sometimes they can't because the people are the people that they live with or something like that.
Yeah.
Hard. So, um, build. That's where the community comes in huge because like you have to find people that are on the same kind of mission as you. And that's why like I'm not like a I do have some gripes when it comes to like AA and stuff like that, but as far as the community aspect and like going to groups, um, it I think that's a huge help. Because again, a lot of the times your family and stuff, they don't understand what you're going through. Like if you're not an addict or anything, like you don't understand how, we think and stuff like that. And number two, I would definitely try to tell them like just get like do more exercise as far as like take a walk, like just take a walk by yourself, like walk for however long you want to walk, but having that like that solace and kind of getting away from everybody to be able to like sit down and actually or walk and think about everything to yourself, think about like being honest with yourself about what's going on in your life
Mhm.
and just trying to tackle it. But exercise is huge. It's been such a like savior for me. Mostly because, like I said before, my thing was self-esteem. And I think that's why a lot of people get into fitness is because they have low self-esteem. They don't like the way they
Absolutely.
look, whatever the case may be. So, um, you know, just getting into fitness made me like start to take care of myself. And that's something that, I mean, I worked out before like my alcoholism got bad, but um, once it got really bad, that was like the anchor that I kept going back to.
Mm,
Because you stop caring about yourself, especially when you're in like the midst of everything. When things are bad, you just stop caring about yourself, and exercise is a way that I was able to like bring that back. You start feeling better, you start thinking better, and then you start doing better. I mean, that's
mm.
very simple terms, but um,
That's it though.
yeah,
What's simple doesn't mean it's people are gonna do it though.
very true.
But
What's easy
that's
to do is also easy not to do.
easy not to do. That's that's key. And I like how you're putting it around like a community. And we always hear like the terms like you are the five people you hang around the most,
Mhm.
but we don't really take this into consideration of go purposely get around five other better people
Yeah,
or somehow virtually in person so that it can become that. Because I've had uncles who were alcoholics and stuff like that, and they could not break it. And the reason why they couldn't break it, I believe, big part was they could not get out of those. Not they couldn't, they just wouldn't leave those communities that they were
yeah,
in. So they'd be like, I'm not drinking today. And I'd be like, everyone you're around is drinking from 4 to 9.
yeah.
Within 3 days, you're gonna be drinking again. And it would happen. So if someone said this, give me 3 steps, Sean, to help me with this alcoholism, which is affecting me mentally. Give me 3 steps. What would you give them?
Like I said, remove people, places, and things. Number one, like I said, start exercising, and it doesn't have to be a lot. Like it can be like I said, just a walk around the block every day. Holding yourself accountable to do that walk every day, that certainly helps. Um, and I would say, just reach out. Like we all know somebody from whether it be high school or whatever, that we've looked up to or we see on social media. And not that social media is everything, because we know we know it could be a facade sometimes, But
A lot of times.
but yeah, no, reach out to somebody that you might like for help, because we're not supposed to do any of this alone.
No, no.
Absolutely not. We're not supposed to do any of it alone. And again, I think, like I said, go to some AA meetings. I think they have a bad stigma. Again, I'm not like the biggest fan of them, but it's definitely a great place to start, because not everybody has money to go to a rehab or anything like that, but yeah, go to groups. I'm going to be doing some, virtual groups and stuff like that starting up.
Nice.
Yeah, just talking just like this, talking about things that we deal with as men on an everyday basis. I'm not opposed to women being in the group, but again, we're not supposed to do any of this alone. I certainly haven't done it alone. I've had a lot of support. Again, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of support from my family too. So that's something that a lot of people don't have. And that's where I want to become, that support for people. So I would say remove yourself from the people, places, and things. Start exercising a little bit, and it'll get you to start caring about yourself a little more. And find the community.
I love it. So Sean has no idea I'm about to say this. He has no idea. I made this episode short on purpose because I would love to have Sean come on 2 more times. And the reason for it is Sean has like a lot of goodness in him. And I want to make sure that the crowd can hear how he feels about mental health, how he feels about alcoholism now, and what he does for people. So he has no idea that I was going to say that at all. So if he declines his invitation publicly, then I'm screwed.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would love to, man. I would love to.
My goal is to keep it short because I want people to go back, hear what he's saying, identify with it, and then move on to the next. It's kind of like fitness. Like you don't walk in the gym and go to your max.
Yeah. No.
Usually warm up. But the reason why I want this is because Sean's one of the only men I know who has conquered alcoholism who actually talks about it. Usually people are like so fearful that people are going to judge him. People are already judging you, but there are people who need what you have to say. So he said it out of his own mouth. We're going to have him back. I'll schedule the date with him. But guys, do me a favor. Sean, I want you to just tell them where they can find you at now until we actually get our next episode out. Let them know, where can they find you?
All right. On Facebook, it is Shawn Johnson, SHAWN Johnson. I'll be the redhead in the profile photo. And Instagram is It's Jonson, ITSYONSON. And give me a follow. I'd love to talk to some new people and just build this community and start helping people out.
Amazing. Sean, thank you. I'm pretty sure we're going to be in touch because I'm going to get the next calendar date for you. But Sean, thank you for coming on the show. We'll see you again, my man.
I appreciate you.
Anytime.